Hello, welcome to the Quakes Motel. My name's Conan, I'm the concierge. In today's video, I'm giving away another free sample pack. There are a few sounds that epitomise the funk, jazz era, fusion era in the 70s. The Fender Rhodes, the Mini Moog, and the Clavinet D6. Let's jump in. So what I've been doing over the last couple of months is going through a bunch of zip discs from the period of time when I was using an MPC 4000 and an S6000 rack mount sampler from Akai. And during that period, I was working in a studio in London, and we had a lot of jazz and fusion artists come through that studio, and we would record them, mix, etc. So I was very lucky to have hands-on quite a few historic instruments, a whole bunch of different Fender Rhodes, Mark 1s, Mark 2s, a whole bunch of Mini Moogs, ARPs, countless analog synthesizers that I would love to get my hands on now. And on this one occasion, a Clavinet D6, absolutely beautiful instrument, absolute pain in the arse to keep in tune and keep working properly. Now, this is a key group which I made in my S6000, and it was quite primitively recorded. I think I've only recorded 2 notes per octave, something like that. I'll have to have a look in a second. It might actually be more than that, but it was very primitively recorded. But I was actually quite amazed at just how clean it is, because generally you did tend to get a bit of a hum off these instruments. But I do remember at the time we were all saying how beautiful it was and how clean it was. Quite often what you would do is you would plug it into an amp. People kind of treated them a bit like guitars, really. So quite often it would go into a Fender amp or Marshall amp, something like that, and you would record a microphone in front of the amp and you'd record it that way. You could also put it through some DIs, preamps, etc., plug it straight into the desk. I am going to be brutally honest with you. I don't actually remember how I recorded this, but listening to how clean it is, I don't think it would have been a mic in front of an amp because it's so clean. So potentially it might have been a DI box straight into a reel-to-reel. We had a very, very nice 16-track reel-to-reel in the studio at the time, and it was very, very clean. I mean, I may have done a little bit of cleanup work on it. I'm not sure, but it is very, very clean. But the one great thing about it being clean is you can add your own dirt to it. So I'm just going to run through it very, very quickly. Actually, thinking about it, if we go into Browse, go into Sample Assign, we can see the actual samples, A1, A3, A5, B2, B4. Yeah, I mean, it's quite primitive. I haven't recorded it at multiple velocities. There's not really that many samples on there at all. But I think just because of the nature of the instrument, it actually works. You know, like some instruments, like maybe the Rhodes, for instance. Anyway, for instance, something like the Rhodes, you probably want to record that at multiple different velocities for each individual note, because of the very subtle nuances you get with the Rhodes. And every single Rhodes I've ever used has been different. I've never, ever played a Rhodes Mark 1 or Mark 2 and they've sounded the same. They're always different. And I can't say whether that's the same or not for clavinets, because I've only ever actually had hands on one real 1972 Clavinet D6, so I can't really compare. But what I can say is they do seem to sample very well, because considering the age of how old this is and how I would have recorded it is pretty good. So it's a very classic funk sound. Obviously, Stevie Wonder Superstition is the track that everyone would know. I mean, most of the time, if you put a clavinet onto a soft synth or onto a controller, or you've got a real one or whatever, the first thing you'll do is go it's just classic. It's just one of those things you have to do. It's like that certain sound on the Oberheim. You have to play Airwolf, if you remember that. So it's all the way down there. It's not really going to be usable. from B, it's sounding pretty decent. Now, what I've done is I've added an amp sim on there to give it a nice bit of low end, because it did have a tendency to sound a little bit thin. So you needed to, that's why a lot of people put it through Fender bass amps and things like that, because then it gave it a bit of bottom end. Another thing that quite often happened is it would go through tube amps as well, or tube preamps, to give it a bit of bite. So I've put it through my favorite plugin on the MPC, Air Tube Drive. You can change how much you want to drive it. A little bit of distortion there, so sorry about that. Around about 10 sounds decent. Bit of saturation on there. But you know, you can do whatever you want with it. I mean, also what you can do is what quite often people used to do is they'd run it for a wah-wah pedal. There are wah effects in the Akai MPC. They're not particularly great. But you can also do it with the XYX, ZYX, PW, XYZ effects on the Akai as well. Or you can use an actual wah pedal if you want. But it's kind of that's the kind of sound, because people did actually kind of use it as a replacement for guitars. The way that the D6 is actually built, it's kind of built like a guitar type strings, pickups, that kind of thing. It's also a very, very percussive instrument. You kind of have to play it in a particular way if you well, whether you're playing an original or whether you're just playing it on a controller. It's very percussive. You know, you'll kind of almost hit it. It's not really something that you play nice long chords on. I mean, of course you can, but it was more built for like that kind of thing, you know. It was almost like it would kind of have lead lines: disco, funk, fusion jazz, you know, a whole bunch of different genres from the 70s. And then, you know, it's obviously gone into the 80s and the 90s. Kind of had a bit of a resurgence with bands like Jamiroquai, the whole acid jazz movement. Because for a while, I can remember in the 80s, there were a lot of clavinets around in really bad condition that nobody really cared about, and you couldn't give them away. You know, no one was interested in them because they just weren't an interesting, or they weren't a trendy instrument. Now, if you can get an original D6, you're going to be paying a lot of money, and you're going to be paying a lot of money to keep it in good nick as well. So, I mean, there's not much else to say there, really. I mean, all I would say is, you know, you might want to dirty it up. You might want to use lo-fi. You might want to use the fly tape thing. You might just want to add a bit of dirt to it, because, as I said, as it stands, it's actually pretty clean. So you would really want to dirty it up with an amp sim or even some distortion, some tube drive, that kind of thing, just to give it that kind of gritty 70s sound. But of course, it entirely depends on what you want to use it for, what kind of genre you're going to be using it in. So there you have it. Quick video, quick Clavinet D6. It's yours for free. As is the case with my latest sample packs, it's going to be on Bandcamp. You can download it for free, or you can chuck me a couple of bucks. It's entirely up to you. My last snares sample pack, I really, really appreciate everybody that did chuck me a couple of bucks here and there. It all counts, and it's all really, really appreciated. But look, like I said, you can download it for free. Now, again, I just want to reiterate this, because even though I put it at the end of the last video, I still had people ask questions. Look, I get it. Not everyone watches the whole of a video. Most people skip through it. I do it as well. It's not very often that I hit start, watch it from start to finish, right to the end. But I did actually say at the end of the last video, and I will say at the end of this video as well, and it's also written in the description, I think, as well, or at least I will write it in the description. The way that Bandcamp works with sample packs is you basically have to put one sound up as a master sound, and then you have to put a PDF link as a bonus, which you will download with that single sound. If you click on that PDF, double click on the PDF, you open the PDF, in there'll be a link. Click on the link, it will take you to my Google Drive where the actual sample pack is, and then you can download it from there. That's the way that Bandcamp at the moment does sample packs. It's a little bit weird, but It's actually quite sensible because it means they don't have to store loads of sounds on their drive, using their bandwidth, etc., in their storage spaces wherever they may be. So it does actually make sense, to be honest. You have to store it. So please, that's what you have to do. Okay, open the PDF that comes with the single sound that you're going to get. So please, no more messages saying, Conan, I've only got one sound. I bet you won't get somebody. Double click on the PDF, open the PDF, double click on the link, and then you'll be able to download the actual sounds. So thanks for watching. This is the Crates Motel. My name's Conan. I'm the concierge. Till next time.
Concierge.